Hi, I'm Steve, and welcome to Virobus.
And I'm Alan.
Alan, as always, our viewers need to check below the video for links to resources and how-to videos where they're appropriate.
Good.
Last time, we were talking about getting money. We talked about going to bankers, going to venture capitalists, angel investors. But when you go to those people, what are they looking for? What's the secret?
Well, that's a great question. We talked about earlier about putting yourself in their shoes. The first thing that you need to understand is that they're basically looking at 4 stacks. Each of these stacks have to be able to raise up to a level of good. If they get to a level of good, or if the 4 of them average out to a level of good, then you've got a good chance that you can get your business funded.
What are those 4 areas?
Well, they're personal investments, credit history and credit score. That's a combination. Your expertise, and then your business model. Okay. Each of these have got to get to that level of good. Now remember, before we do that, because a lot of times we get there and we forget the other part, that critical part that we talked about earlier, is whoever that is we're talking to, we need to, number 1, see that they have money, and number 2, that they're interested, or that they would be of interest to someone like us in this industry. If they're scared of this industry, then all the level of good we can do
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but really it does. But what happens is they change the definition of good and they've raised the bar, and so you're probably not going to get to that level. Okay. So in each of these, like personal investments, the first one, generally you're going to need to have 20 to 30% of your personal savings or whatever it is you've got that's going to add up to qualify for personal personal investment.
They want you to have skin in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So that's the first one. The second one is your credit history and your credit score. I tell people that basically we're looking at the last 3 years of your credit life. That's the good news. The bad news is we're looking at the last 3 years of your credit life. The good news with that is, because it's the last 3 years, that's a moving target. So no matter where you're at today, if you're not at a level of good, you can get there. Yeah. You can change history by changing the present as you move forward.
And Alan, we've got a link down below to a webcast about credit score. So viewers can click on that to find out more detail about that.
Exactly. Okay. So in the credit score, in the credit history, we're looking at a score of approximately 650 at a minimum of good. Okay. So that one can change over time depending on the economy. The third one then is expertise. Your expertise now is a critical part of this. I believe it as so critical that it's a third stack. So we're talking about this is, and the funny part of this is, as much as everybody talks about themselves and their business now, this is the one place they get real quiet, is their resume. Do they have certifications? Do they have an educational background that's going to support that? What are they doing currently that parallels to what they're wanting to do? Maybe they're a restaurant manager, or they've been a quick food manager, and now they're looking at opening up a business. What's the parallel to that? You've got to draw that so where your expertise rises. And then fourth is the business model. Some people would say the business model, that all 3 of those fall into that, and I agree with that. But in my simple mind, what I'm doing is keeping all 4 of those separate, so then I can look at the business model on its own. How does it stack up? That's your environment, your demand, your supply, your competitors. All of that falls into the business model, separate of my expertise, separate of my credit history, and of my investment. How much money do I need to get into that business model? All of those tie into it, but I want to judge it on its own to begin with. Once I do, then all 4 stacks, and I can judge those, and when they all come to a level of good, then I know I've got a going concern that can probably be funded.
Okay, good. Thank you, and join us again on Virobus.